All right, welcome back to the Deceiver Stools. This is session number 3, entitled All Roads. The thing at the top, though, is incorrect. I apologize. I'll get that fixed. Been going through a little bit of technical difficulties in the lead up here. That said, last session, the group kind of diverted away from one another, one staying in the rebel location, while a couple of others went to go and deal with the conglomerate in some sense. In that process, revelation was made specifically for Kelder, and that revelation is that the current Magier of the conglomerate is some form of undead. That said, a very powerful spell has been cast on Kelder, which basically forces him to engage in a specific activity.
No. It was cast on Talos. Or
Davos.
Davos, that's
Yeah.
right. Apologies. Sorry, my brain got mixed and flipped, because Kelder is obviously going to do it. That said, you two have returned with... you took the dragon... The Dragonborn stayed. The human fighter type went with you. And you guys returned back, and then we kind of cut the session right when everyone kind of returned, and it appears that Copperhead has grown to some sort of affinity with the Butcher's Bride. In the lead up to you guys getting together, it seems that Copperhead is wanting to leave, and after a very long leave and return to deal with a situation outside of this whole matter, and basically after a very long and heated argument, the Butcher's Bride is taken from him, and he kind of forlorn leaves the Rebel Stronghold, the knife being left behind.
How'd they manage that?
What, taking it from him?
Yeah. Wasn't like the whole issue being that he held on to it?
Yeah, you weren't present when this situation happened. Phi and Oris, if you're kind of paying attention, it seems a wizard was actually called down. Someone who's been kind of referred to by others as William the Wise. And after some spell casting, which took some time, whatever magical bond was present there has been broken.
Well, that should make our job easier.
You all arrive. What would you like to first discuss?
I very quickly and curtly informed the man in charge about what happened. About the Magier not willing to accept that deal and negotiating a new one, and then subsequently casting that spell on Davos.
Well, that will be unfavorable. It kind of looks over to the mage, who's kind of wrapping this butcher's cleaver in linens. He kind of looks over at you. This older gentleman, very long white beard. Looks like you can kind of see the remnants of kind of like darker grays and blacks at the base of his hair. And the longer the hair is, the whiter, more stark it's become. He looks to you all, and the Lord mentions or asks him, "Is this something you can deal with?" This man stands up, brushes his attire off, holding the parcel now contained in linen, hands it to the Lord, and then walks over to Davos and looks at you. It's a very powerful spell. I only have one thing that I think can help with this matter, but it will cause him great pain. The Lord says, "We cannot have someone corrupted by the magics of the conglomerate within our midst." And William says, "If he leaves our midst, he'll die." What was the goal that was put to you? What was the task?
To return the Butcher's Bride.
Looks to the Lord. Do you want to return that to the... Absolutely not! The mage kind of looks to you, Davos. Well then, Are you willing to suffer for the cause? Greatly? Perhaps more agony than you've ever faced in your entire life?
Let's get it started.
Well, it looks like the knife is within your reach. Do you not feel an urge to grab it? And take it where it must go? You do.
I do.
Are you going to?
I don't want to. I feel kind of compelled.
Are you going to?
No.
As you say that, and as you kind of like feel the confidence behind that action, 27 points of psychic damage courses through your brain, and agony kind of racks out and through you. Does 27 put you down?
One sec.
Sure.
Yep.
As you watch Davos kind of like rack in pain, his body kind of twisting and contorting as he forcibly wills himself not to adhere to the quest, you see William the Wise reach out and grab a hold of his shirt, kind of hold him from falling to the ground. He looks over to the Lord. You have a strongly confident one in your midst here. I'll do what I can. And with seeming like unnatural strength, William the Wise just lifts Davos' body up like a bag and walks him away to a side room outside of the area. The others present, the Lord kind of looks to Kelder and says, "So you know what we're up against now, do you not?"
Kelder looks at him and, like, with the absolute most serious expression on his face, nods, and he says, "It's a lich."
It is. It is indeed. And the artifacts they wish to reclaim and take from this place, not reclaim, but rather claim for themselves, they're sending to our most ancient of enemies. Culturally, we have been at war with the lands of Meridia since the Second Age, since well after the War of Sword and Serpent. You understand our cause now? Do you understand the gravity behind what we are trying to do here?
Kelder nods and he says, I don't believe a being that is outside the domains of life and death should be in such a position of power."
He walks forward over to you and offers his hand out in a clasp and says, "Welcome to the Old Guard."
Kelder doesn't really hesitate. Takes his hand, shakes it, and he says, I'll do my best to be as useful to you and your cause as I can."
Well, your inside knowledge might prove fruitful. As I mentioned, our goal is to reclaim the sword from the where it's currently held. Once Davos is back on his feet, and hopefully purified of the conglomerate's bad magics, you and him, looks over to Oris, and a couple of my other rebels will help you in finding that weapon.
So, out of character, would I have time for a short rest?
Oh yeah, plenty of time now. Yeah, it seems like there's currently nothing but downtime, and we're going to kind of like point out a couple of events that will be occurring here. The main event was, or the very first main event was that Copperhead has left. He has exited the group. The second event that happened is Davos has basically decided his path. He's not going to try and adhere to the dark magics therein and follow the quest that was put upon him. The second was, or the third rather, of course, was Kelder's turn to the dark side, the good side. Well, who knows? This side. You're on this side now. And then the last thing that we have to deal with before the matter continues is the Lord addresses Vi. Of course, as a servant of the land of elves, I cannot ask you to help us in any regard unless it's something that you wish to do willingly. I cannot put it upon you to do anything that you do not desire. My only question of you would be, is it your goal to return back to your lands? Is it your goal to return back to whoever brought you to the city to help them and whatever their aims are, or do you wish to remain here?
At the present moment, I think it would be best if the artifacts that rightly belong to you. So therefore, I'm going to stay.
We gladly accept your help, and we honor it by remembering the times in the past where the elves assisted us in dealing with the menace from Darg and the Meridian people that have always sought to claim to corrupt our people. Very good. I will leave you to it, Kelder, if you have any initial planning that you wish to do. I would like to be well addressed of what your plan ultimately will be, but you have Oris, and then gestures to the...
As he gestures at Oris, Oris is going to chuckle and just be like, there's a lich involved now. That's hazard pay.
You know what you get paid. You do understand that in operations here, now that you are going to be dealing with what you're dealing with, we'll make sure you're well compensated. He kind of looks to Kelder. You can start planning. Davos will hopefully be ready to join the planning portion shortly.
Planning?
You're going to be going into the conglomerate's vaults and stealing the sword.
Okay, out of character question. Do I know where the vaults are?
Yeah, you have a pretty good idea. They're basically kept inside of what is now referred to as the conglomerate vaults and used to be called the Syrian Palace. So the castle that used to reign over this place, the center capital building, is now basically just used as a place where the conglomerate stores things. And the regent of the kingdom of Ludos, to the northwest, is the one who currently rules in that place.
I don't suppose Vi gives us any sort of bonuses to hit dice.
No. What healing for short rest time? No.
Okay.
Would Oris know of any clerics or anyone with healing tendencies in the old guard? He's worked with them a while.
Yeah, Davos is a bard.
Damn.
Speaking of which, cut scene. You're awakened, Davos, and you kind of are brought to a semblance of consciousness. And William the Wise is kind of looking over you, and he says, "You only have one more path, one more thing to walk through, and it should be the last for you." He holds up a small vial, and it appears to be filled with this kind of greenish liquid, which has a bit of a bubbling sense to it, and he hands it to you. Drink the whole thing down. All of it.
Out of character. What's my HP at now?
1.
Yay.
He says, drink the whole thing down.
All right.
Just like that.
Drag it down.
Just like John did just now.
That's disgusting.
Make a Constitution saving throw. So, unless you're wanting to spend inspiration, that 8 is a failure.
Yeah. Let's do that inspiration thing.
Do you have inspiration to spend? I gave you inspiration before, yeah, and you haven't spent it. Cool.
No, I don't have that. That's
I got it first session and I used it.
Oh, that's right.
You gave anyone it last session.
No, I didn't.
I don't think you mentioned you.
I'm a terrible friend. Let's say you don't have it, and we'll ask Lewis if he wants to spend his to assist you in this.
I already did. I spent it on Fi.
Oh, that's right. Never mind. There is no inspiration on the table. You're taking the blunt of it. Okay, so here's what happens.
All right.
You feel sick to your stomach to start, and you almost spit up the liquid, but you feel compelled to drink it down. You do finally take down all the contents, but upon doing so, you feel like your body is just left behind and your soul leaves your body. It's almost as if you feel like you've died, or at least what you think dying feels like. You kind of have this blurry white field of vision, and you feel yourself lifting up into the sky. And there you see, past this whiteness and these clouds, a very tall-looking spire. At the seat of the spire is the Atavian cross. And sitting at the base of that cross is a massive throne. Sitting in that throne is a very resplendent-looking Osirian king, you presume. And as he kind of looks down to you, he says, this is what your path holds. The splendor, the glory, the triumph, if you are able to walk it. And as you're about to kind of like form a response, you feel yourself pulled and dragged back down and kind of are now sputtering and just spitting up fluids as you kind of try and reel out of the bed. You start to realize the fluids that you're spitting up aren't green in color. They're a bit more pink in tinge. And you start to realize there's possibly a bit of blood in that. William the Wise very quickly steadies you, like holding your shoulder. And then you kind of feel the lingering effects of that spell, the being compelled to go and grab the butcher's bride and take it back to the lich, flee. They are no longer a part of your soul. William the Wise looks down to you and says, it was a rough effort, and hopefully you are able to continue walking the path. He smiles, walks over to his little alchemy table. You hear him kind of clanging at a mortar and pestle, and then he kind of sets up another vial. This is a bluish liquid, and says, it'll help a bit, but it definitely won't get rid of all of the effects. And he says, you should be good, though. If you want to head back or lay down for a bit, it's entirely up to you. The blue liquid's cooling if you drink it down. It kind of helps a bit. But for the current matter, you are at 1 hit point, and you have the poison condition. And poison just means you have disadvantage on all skill checks, ability checks, attack rolls, saving throws, I think. Pretty much everything.
Was there anywhere like I need to apply that, or is it just like a mental note?
I'll remember.
Gotcha. Could I take a rest?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to lay down here, you can. It sounds like you're going to go for a bit more of a long haul rest. And that's perfectly fine. William the Wise seems totally okay with that. Back in the main room, you guys are resting up. Yeah, feel free to talk amongst yourselves. And ask me any
So what,
questions.
do we get a long rest now?
You can attempt to take one if you want. It does seem that based on what you're kind of, during your short rest time, what you're hearing going on and what you've overheard is going on with Davos is that he's probably not going to be getting up anytime soon.
Okay, that's good. Gives us plenty of time to plan. First order of business.
Beers and sleep.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I'm an elf. But first order of business is so my background feature as a faction agent comes with like a sort of like guidebook that has like, the ins and outs of the organization.
Indeed.
So that's basically the group's study material.
Okay. So you're going to learn a lot about the conglomerate in this process. I'm just going to basically relay some facts to you. Feel free to take notes when you hear something that you feel is important. So agents of the conglomerate come in 3 different tiers and then an ultimate kind of tier. You have agents, which are just typical beat cops for magic. The second is the enforcer, and that's someone who actually leads agents into actions against renegade mages or those who are claimed to be renegade mages or those who act on behalf of renegade mages. They act in what is known as the 3D goal. You either detain, derail, or dispatch a target. Derailing means that you try and make sure that any efficiency that they have in their goals or quest is basically thrown off. And then detain is obviously incarceration, and dispatching means killing the target. Those are the 3 Ds of the goal for the conglomerate. The last type of agent before the final one is the witch hunter. Witch hunters act on their own and in their own accord. They do as they please, but they basically act as enforcers, but like a bit more freedom is kind of granted to them. They don't have the stricture of the Magier over their heads, and sometimes will act in concert with the Magier directly. And the last, of course, is the Magier. Basically, every city and town that has conglomerate rule will have a tower placed within it, and the person who sits at the head of that tower is the magical magistrate, basically the chief of police for magic.
So there's multiple Magiers.
There's a Magier for every city and town, and then there's the Grand Magier, but that's way far away and will never probably become an issue. All right. Regarding this specific city, this circular purple-colored building here is the Magier's Tower that you just recently went to. This kind of orange-colored complex in the center is the palace, as I mentioned. And there are 3 main buildings, one for each of the thrones, and then there's the large court building. The throne room kingdom or castles have been turned into vaults and are basically established to hold all of the... Are you hearing the water in the background? Is that why you're looking confused?
I think so.
Yeah, so the bathroom's right next to me and someone's showering, so sorry. Just deal with the fact that we are currently underwater. That's what we are doing. That said, Magier's Tower, Palace, 3 palace buildings, and then the center court building. The center court building is still used for its purpose. The 3 smaller buildings, 3 palaces, are basically just used to hold priceless relics and items and artifacts of the past. As mentioned, the crown, the sword, and what was the other item?
The butcher's bride.
Correct. So those 3 items are basically what you're looking to obtain. The crown and the sword are said to be kept in the Ruby Palace, which is the palace here.
All this will just say to everyone, point me in the right direction when we get there. I'll do my job and is just going to go try and take a long rest because I need to recover wages. Desperately.
I'm also going to take a long rest, but I'm going to spend at least 4 hours of that trying to come up with at least a loose plan. I think I've got a pretty good idea to start with, but I'm going to start working on a little mini document here.
Basically, I'm just leaving the floor open to you guys. If you have questions that are directed towards me or any of the NPCs, ask them. But basically, I know you don't have a lot of information. I get that. But I want to make sure that you understand the direct nature of what you're doing and what you guys are going to interact as characters with one another to kind of work out what's the next step.
All this, if depending on how much time he has to ensure that I do take a long rest, if he's got free time, we'll probably ask around for just equipment he can either take with him that is going to be able to be useful, or stuff that he can use that's going to be helpful.
So the armaments of the Old Guard are pretty bare bones, but you should be able to find at least one example of any weapon or armor, with the exception of any armor that would be worth more than 500 gold pieces, 500 or more, in the player's handbook. An example of that should be present here.
Always was more thinking in the way of like just basic potions or something that he can rely, or even just something that he can use to. He's not got magic, so something that he can use to break down.
Sure. So the only examples of like magical items that would be offered out to you would probably be healing potions. I would say roll a d6.
Does dialogue or anything like interrupt along?
No. You can get up and kind of maneuver around, but if you do anything strenuous, then you would be breaking that rest. So the group as a whole will be able to muster up 4 total healing potions. There, see, now it's gone.
Always will, to whoever gives the healing potions, he will leave them 10 gold.
Okay.
He can.
Is there any way to tell if there's like any lingering effects aside from the poison from that?
If you spend some time kind of just like thinking about what's happened here, you're pretty sure what has happened is you're make an Arcana check, Intelligence Arcana. So you don't know what happened, but the thing that you keep thinking about is that whatever he gave you, whatever that fluid was, you're pretty sure it killed you.
Gotcha. And that kind of like released the.
You're pretty sure that the bonds of the magic basically had the stricture of you have to be alive to enact it.
Mm.
During your kind of moseying around and walking, you probably regroup with the others, and Calder's kind of got a book out on a table. Looks like Vi's kind of probably got her arms crossed and is kind of looking on as the others are looking about. You see Oris kind of mustering about, kind of looking to kind of gather things. It looks like Vi's 2 associates are sitting with Calder, kind of looking at him. It looks like, they're nodding kind of intently. But you can kind of just tell, knowing people, that they're trying to seem invested, but you're pretty sure that they don't really know what's going on. And then there are the dwarf and the lady that was with you at the beginning. They're also sitting at that table with Kelder.
Okay, so
Colgar Greysword, and then Celia Darna are the 2 operatives from the Old Guard that were working with Dallas and are with you. And then Borgu and AEG are the 2 associates that came with Phi who are with you as well.
Okay, so do I know anything about the layout of the Ruby Palace?
Yeah, so the Ruby Palace is pretty simply structured. It's 2 wings around a center like throne room area, and then it is 3 total floors. The middle point of all of the floors is basically hollowed out. The throne room basically stands 30 odd feet to its ceiling, which is kind of painted over with an old patterning. But it seems that both of the wings are basically filled. Each of the rooms is filled with display stands, bookshelves, just regular good old-fashioned shelves, and all sorts of artifacts have been claimed and thrown in there. You're pretty sure that in a very early point in your time, you remember putting a coin that was recovered from a renegade mage into the archive, but you don't remember exactly where it was. The coin that you found was made out of a prismatic metal, and it was explained to you as being what's known as an ario, which is a very expensive royal coin.
You go, I think.
Just dialogue.
Okay, yeah, you return to them. Go for it.
Is William the Wise nearby? Could I speak to him?
You can go to talk to him, yeah. But he's not over in that group. He's not hanging out with everyone else. He's still in his own business. Kind of turns to you and says, something else? Are you feeling all right? You're walking around. That's good.
Well, how much do you know about the path? About the end state? That after that potion, that green vial you gave me, I saw thing.
Well, and again, it's gone back. I apologize. It would seem that, according to the religious texts that I've read, the path is one that heads up the Mount of Ecclesia to the throne of our god, Atavius. It is known as the straightest path. If you walk it and maintain your faith, adhere to the laws of the land and the laws of your people, you should be able to seat yourself at within his chambers. That's what it said. You say you saw that when you drank the potion?
Yeah, there was somebody, an individual on that throne. He spoke to me. He said this, if I stay on the path, this could be mine.
You're not a very religious person, are you, Davos?
No.
Interesting. Not many people are forced to imbibe that specific brew. It is what is known as Orvo, a very diluted form of it. A more concentrated form, basically the fluid it's anti-life, it's anti-magic. I will not lie to you. It killed you. You have died. If what you say you saw is true, then perhaps there are some truths to these religious texts after all. I've never died, though, so I don't know much about what is truly beyond the winds.
Well, thanks. I'll have to think on this.
Of course. He continues going about. Looks like he's brewing something or working on something over at his alchemy table. You're, of course, free to walk around and back to the table where everyone's kind of focused up. E.G. says, out loud, he says, is there any secret passageways into the castle complex that you're aware of, Kelder? The same answer is true for your character. Yeah, there would you never had a need to sneak into the palace. You just can walk in the front door.
Get me a bird of some kind, and I might be able to find out.
A bird?
Yeah, Borgo's like, bird?
I can talk with the creature and then create a bond with it if we give me time.
Interesting.
Yeah, like
He's
looking
a
at this
scout.
giant, like, beefy dude. He's like, I like birds. It's like, oh, so you're also a Disney princess.
Yup.
Oris is a Disney princess. That makes sense. That's perfect. He says to you, Borgo says to you, very interesting. A lot of the shamans from where I'm from have similar features and abilities. Where'd you say you were from? Delayed response, smile. Got it. I see it.
Parnan.
Oh, you are Parnan. Ah, interesting. Well, yeah. Sure, let's go find a bird. Borgo stands up with a goal in mind.
Oris also does turn to the others, and he does just say, I think we should go disguised as well. And do something that makes it look like the archive isn't the target. Kidnap someone, kill someone, do something so the archive looks like a secondary objective.
Well, there wouldn't really be any reason for us to visit the vault. It's not like the vault has prison cells.
True, it's at the very least disguised, because Keldor isn't known to have turned traitor yet. The longer we can keep that, the more useful he can be.
Alright,
Along
so
with
I have
keeping
like
the
a
disguise
few
of Davos
loose...
until alive.
I have a few loose ideas I'm posting in the general chat here.
Oris would also then kind of be like, you lot are more magic users than me. Do we know if the Lich will know that the bomb's broken?
Oh yeah, Davos comes back out, and he looks like he just died.
Yeah,
But,
it's more the question
like,
of, does the Lich know that he died and that bond is broken, or does the Lich think that it's still there, or would no one know?
Good question.
Can I Arcana that?
Yeah, you sure can.
The joy of a reasonably intelligent barbarian.
Damn.
Yeah, you're not sure. Yeah, you're not certain. You're pretty sure that he probably knows.
In that case, we will have to move quickly before word gets out. And hopefully, if we can disguise ourselves sufficiently well, they won't realize, like, if they have been notified that they should be on the lookout for certain individuals, they won't recognize us as being those individuals.
Always just looks at all his tattoos as well.
Okay. So
Then goes off with the other person to find the bird.
your goal right now is to just go find a bird?
Yep, any type of bird. One that's particularly stealthy or sneaky would be helpful. And then do speak with animals.
Sure. Go outside and make a nature check. And who are you taking with you?
The guy that offered, I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Borgu, the Dragonborn.
That's a 10.
Borgu kind of just, big Dragonborn, kind of, the hammered.
I've just got the mental image of this giant human running about trying to grab a bird, the same as a dragonborn doing it the opposite direction.
Come on, Birdie. This isn't working. He just kind of stops, looks at you. No, this isn't working.
Also, sit down and try it that way.
He just kind of sits
Yeah,
down.
also just sit down and do ritual speak with animals, and then just try and ask birds if anyone's up for helping.
Okay. Finally, a bird does kind of just perch nearby, kind of looks down at you, and you say what to it in Birdanese.
I need your assistance, little one.
What?
I will feed you well.
What?
I need aid.
What?
I need your help.
What? What?
Would you like some food?
Yeah! Yeah! Yeah!
Can you fly in a direction and look around for me?
Flutters down to near you. Where's the food? Starts jumping up and down. Where's the food?
Later.
Huh?
Later, you need to help me.
No! Flies back up onto the building. Looks down at you over his shoulder. Food first!
Some food first.
Then food later as well.
If you do a good job, you'll get lots of food.
Flutters down, starts jumping up and down.
And also take a bit of his rations and give whatever looks like the bird
bread,
would eat.
like a bit of
Yeah.
dried bread. Starts pecking it at it.
A very large bit. He's gonna try and make himself look like magnanimous and give him a quite large bit of bread.
Bird eats a bunch, kind of looks at you. Ha ha! Flies away. It was a raven, by the way, that you.
Yeah, I know. I realised that when it started being a little shit. Yeah, no.
You got swindled by a bird, buddy.
Yep. Yeah, or is it just gonna try until he finds a bird that's not a dick, or until he gives up? Whichever comes first.
You eventually
I'm like-
find. Go ahead.
Animal handling, so.
Okay. Well, do you want to go out? I mean, Borgu and Oris kind of left together, but do you want to go out with them?
Yeah, I feel like
Okay.
I assume that they've not been successful because they've been out for a little bit, so I'll go out and see what's up.
Okay.
At
You
least
come in.
10 minutes to cast a spell.
You come in about the time as Oris is cursing in bird, as the bird flies away.
Just so you know,
Pathetic.
ravens are dicks.
What do you say to them?
Other than that was pathetic.
Kind of.
After a fashion, the three of you, Borgu, Phi, and Oris, kind of eventually find another bird. It is probably some sort of robin, and it flutters down basically in the same agreement to get some food prior to darting away. Phi, go ahead and make an animal handling check. You kind of maneuver in to try and pet the bird. Like you pet the bird very harshly, and a couple of its feathers brush out, and it freaks out and Caw! But in Oris, you understand it as saying no, and it flies away.
Can always try an animal handling check just to try and grab it?
No. Well, wait. Yes. All right. The bird kind of sticks around after kind of fluttering a bit, and then Fi kind of like reaches in and kind of pets it again. This time with a bit more grace, as the assistance of Oris kind of like looming over the bird so it doesn't flutter off too fast, and then kind of cautiously backing away, giving the bird a feeling of comfort and less menace. The bird kind of looks to you and says, "Okay, what do you want?"
I need your help.
Sure.
I need you to scout, and if you scout well, I'll give you lots of food.
Where are we
But
going?
if you keep scouting for me, I'll do it regularly.
Where are we going?
To the Ruby Palace.
What's that?
Big building.
Looks around. You're surrounded by large buildings. That one?
He's a bird. He's very small.
And he's also dumb.
Just follow me and stay with me till the time is right. And whilst you're with me, I'll give you food every now and again when you're hungry. Just
Sounds good.
pet me lightly.
The three of you are going to try and walk to the or like near the palace, so that a bird being relinquished could get it to there. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. A few hours later, if you're walking, we'll cover.
Always would wait for the others, suggest waiting for the others, and just he's offered the bird food constantly, so he's hoping he can kind of wait until we're ready and then use it to scout last, just before we go in.
Okay. Sure. I mean, there are other means of conveyance. Like, you don't need to walk. You can take a canal boat, as we've seen before. There's a series of different carriages that will wheel you on to wherever you need to go. There's also like horses can be rented for a short and small sum. There are definitely options to get you from point A to point B in the city that's going to take less time than walking would.
If I go now, it'd be whichever's fastest, or it'd be try and wait until everyone's ready to go and take the robin and send the robin in just before we go in, basically.
Borgu looks to you and Fi and says, "Do you want me to go and get the others?" All right, be right back. You keep an eye on that bird. Walks away and heads back into the rebel base. While that's happening, Davos, you're still kind of getting a feel for yourself. You take one of the empty seats near Calder, who's still kind of just thinking about what needs to be done. When it comes to disguises, you're thinking to yourself the most persuasive of ideas for disguises would probably be agents of the conglomerate. You have an agent's uniform already upon you, Calder, and there's no reason for them to distrust you unless they're watching you right now. But they may not very well be. Who knows? Or to the like. But my question for you, sir, is that's probably the most persuasive. Like, if you're going to try and appear like you belong, agent uniforms would be a good idea.
See, now I'm paranoid, so I'm thinking I'm going to cast Detect Magic as a ritual.
Sure. You detect lots of magic. It seems like the bricks and stones of this very chamber seem to be filled with magic. It's almost blinding at first until you regulate it, and you realize that the color of the magic appears to be like kind of a dark shade of blue. Let me double check and make sure that statement is right.
I like where your head's at, Stephanie.
Yes, blue.
Okay, so blue would be...
Abjuration.
Okay, so do I suspect that might be some sort of like wow, Murph. Some sort of like scribe.
It's very old, these magical signatures that you're detecting on the stones, and they appear to be etched into each of the bricks that build up this study here.
Ah, so it's old magic. It's some sort of protective charm, stuff like that, like magical shielding.
If you recall the story for this place, this passage, it was built by Meridians a long time ago.
Okay, so basically, I'd feel like I'd be safe from any sort of magical intrusion.
As safe as you could be.
And do I have a reasonable hunch that even though Davos has been separated from the effects of the Gia spell, that really the Magear won't really have any indication or idea until we actually leave?
Correct. And
Okay, good.
another thing too is your Arcana check was really bad. I can't give you any information.
Fair
beyond
enough.
that.
But I think that Arcana check was before I took a long rest.
Sure, that's fine. I'm not giving you a new one.
No, that's totally fine. But I mean, I've learned a reasonable amount, just from
Yeah. Okay, so
magic.
Borgu comes in and says, they want you up there. We're gonna take a cart ride or something. Head over to the palace now. You ready?
One moment. I sit down with Davos and I ask him if he would be willing to, like, craft or perhaps, like, dress people up in a way that would make us more presentable and convincing as conglomerate agents.
You mean you want me to disguise people?
Yes.
Yeah, already on it. Do I need to do anything for that, or does it just kind of happen?
Yeah, so you can make a disguise kit check, which will be based off of charisma. If you have the disguise kit proficiency, you just hit disguise kit and then it'll query, and you'll select charisma and then roll it. And then also you'll have advantage for this check because you're aware that the rebels, the old guard, actually have about 30 or so uniforms of agents that they've dispatched.
Oh, fuck yeah. Cool, so before we catch that wagon, we're going to be doing some...
Kelder doesn't
dress up.
require really much in the remake department or whatever. It doesn't need any help. Already looks like one. Oris needs a lot of help, and Phi doesn't need too much other than like an outfit change. Borgu, you're pretty sure can't be helped. There just isn't a Dragonborn sized, meat mountain
Could
outfit.
we use him as a prisoner?
The old Chewbacca routine, sure.
Yeah, just
Again, renegade mages are usually the only prisoners or people who are loyal to them. So again, you'd have to craft some kind of narrative. But that said, too, EG is pretty easy to get into attire as well. If those are the people. Oh, sorry, the dwarf and the human woman are easy to get dressed up as well.
So could we have the Dragonborn guy as like some sort of lookout or like man on the outside to help secure our escape?
Borgu says, I'll do whatever is needed. It's fine. As long as my lady commands it, and I'm here to... yeah.
Don't go anywhere without Dragonborn. Sorry.
I'll say we handcuff him and use him as a prisoner. Fake some kind of magic somehow.
He says,
Prestidigitation.
that's fine, I guess. Shrugs.
Or just... You can brief some kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Hey,
Just do that a couple...
Ichi kind of looks at you, and then looks at Borgu, and then kind of looks at you again. Man, this is embarrassing. I'm sorry, buddy. Kind of pats him on the shoulder, and Borgu says, it's fine. He's like 7 feet tall, just kind of looking down at you, where it's like,
Well,
Oh.
I've got the manacles.
I was thinking the dwarf and the lady that were part of my party, maybe put them outside as an overwatch position.
The second you say that, Celia, the woman, she kind of walks away. Just walks away. And you're like, About a minute or so passes, she comes back, and she has a very large-looking crossbow rifle with like a very ornate-looking scope with like gemstones set inside of it. And she says, yeah, I can do that.
Gotcha. It'll be useful for scouting anybody moving towards us and securing us an escape route.
She also notes. She also like hands you a strange-looking device, and then sets the other one on her belt. You recognize this as one of the few communication devices that are in the Old Guard's group. So it's a pretty rare item. They get it from the south, specifically the city of Rostagar, far to the south of the continent. It's a technological device that allows you to have one-way communication with another individual.
Do we have a map, do our characters have a map available for the area we're going into, like a broad area?
Whip
Not the
out some
interior.
parchment. Whip
I've
out some
got
ink.
Wanderer, so once we do it, once I do the Beast One thing, I should be able to just remember where it is because of Wanderer. So,
Right.
Yeah, I just take out some parchment and an ink and a quill, and I just sketch out like a rough layout of the building, and sort of start breaking down the game plan as far as, here's the front entrance, here's the vault we need to get into, here's the other wings, and this is what's in there. So basically, if we can get in and get out, or if we can get in and acquire our goal quickly, we might be able to take a little extra time to kind of poke around and see what other interesting stuff is in there. But our main goal is to acquire the sword and the crown. I think we should leave the Butcher's Bride here. I mean, there's no need, taking it out of here where it's safe and secure and potentially risk losing it again.
You would note that's not even an option since it's been taken away from you by the Lord.
Can we establish an escape, like if he's drew us a map like an escape route or like a secondary and then like a rally point, or is this too much?
No. That's perfectly fine. But the thing is he doesn't have like a detailed interior map. Basically, what he has is just his recollection. And since he doesn't have like a picture-perfect memory, it's basically based off of the fact that he's just explaining to you as thus. In the center of the palace, there is an open throne room that goes up 30 feet. And then along the side, there are two wings. Each wing is three floors. And within those 3 floors are all of the items. He does not know where the sword and the crown are placed in those wings, or if it's in the east wing or the west wing of the palace. And basically, do you see the map, like the very large city map, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at the center of the map, you've got the white wall, which is basically this barrier to the palatial complex and the rest of the city. Then there's that interior wall, the interior gray wall, which is actually kind of built-in defense of where the conglomerate reigns. The purple denoted buildings are conglomerate focused. The very large circular one is the tower. Okay? And then the orange section in the middle is the actual palatial complex proper, where there are 3 palaces. Those are the rectangular shapes with the lines through them. And then there's the court building in the center, which is the circular building in the center. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I wasn't looking for like interior of the building, just
Got
kind of
it.
like a street map kind of deal.
Well, that's what we got. So yeah,
Gotcha.
the place that you're effectively wanting to go is, I'm going to try and point at it with my arrow here. That one. That one there. Let's see if I can ping it. Yeah, perfect. It's that most top one.
I want to bring along a couple like big empty bags, or maybe our big stronger guys in case they.
Yeah, okay.
So we can maybe snatch and grab anything that's not nailed down.
It's not a bad idea.
I could possibly forge a paper, not forge it, but the illusion on paper as far as make like a transfer kind of schedule for certain magical goods.
Yep. And as you're saying that out loud, I just want to make sure everyone's aware. The plan is to try and denote this Dragonborn as a prisoner. Is that still the thing? Is that really the goal?
Well, I was gonna say, like initially, I was gonna be like, we're here to place something in the vault, and it was gonna be I was going to suggest using the Butcher's Bride, but obviously that's off the table.
You could
I
ask.
mean, there's no reason why we can't still go with that narrative. It's just that we don't actually have an item of, a magical item.
You can ask for the bride. Like, the Lord's not going to not hear your request. I mean, that's not a thing. But I just wanted to make sure you are aware that this square purple building, that's actually where the conglomerate's mage prison is. So if you were going to prison or transfer, it wouldn't take you anywhere near the palace.
Right. That's what I figured, because I mean the vault's for magical items,
Right.
and that's not where they keep prisoners. So yeah, I'm going to ask the Lord if we can take the Butcher's Bride, and I'm going to explain our plan as such.
You ask
We're
around
going to.
where he's located, and you go up to meet with him. Are you taking anyone with you when you go to try and discuss this?
I'll take Davos.
Anyone else?
I mean, basically, I feel like Davos and I are masterminding this heist.
Sounds about right. Okay, so the two of you will go up and meet with the Lord. He's in his house proper, so when you're brought up, you're kind of brought up very quickly and in secret, and led into his chamber. Doors are closed. He looks to you. So, what's the plan?
Our plan is to disguise ourselves as conglomerate agents and enter the Ruby Palace under the pretense that we are delivering a magical item for secure storage. And for this purpose, I have come to request the Butcher's Bride.
You asked for a lot. What say you,
Well,
Dennis?
obviously, we have no intention of leaving it there. It's just that the ruse would be much more convincing with an item in hand.
I understand, but I do want to make sure you understand my trepidation in allowing the item to be relinquished to you. What say you, Davos?
Alternatively, do you have
He raises his hand
any
to you.
other magical items we could use?
He kind of raises his hand to you to kind of shush you and says, what say you, Davos?
I think we were originally going to use the Butcher's Bride as leverage as trading it for these other pieces. So it's more or less what we're doing.
If it is lost and you recover the other items, I agree. It would probably be of more import, but I do hate to see anything that we've reclaimed lost. He reaches into his desk, pulls out the parcel, the linen parcel, and sets it out on the table. It's yours. What other matters do you require? Anything that you need to assist you in your cause here?
Alternatively, we could utilize another less valuable magical item if you have some available.
I do not. I am pretty certain that William has means to transfer you from this place across the city to wherever you'd want to go. So if you wish to discuss that matter with him, let him know that I personally have signed off on the matter and will allow him to use his magic to aid you.
Kelder looks to Davos and waits for his response. Basically,
He will not be able to recover you, but he may be able to send you where you need to go.
Let's converse with our group to see where they would like to begin this journey.
Kelder sort of indicates the Butcher's Bride as if sort of asking permission to take it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be a problem from the Lord.
He takes it and he offers the Lord a small bow and leaves with Davos.
Okay. Lord Kalphas kind of goes back to what he was doing. It appears that he was drafting some sort of accord or letter, and you exit out, head back downstairs, where the others are waiting for you.
Where is William the Wise?
He's off in a side room. His office.
We invite him to join us for the meeting and the finalizing of the plan with everybody else. Basically, we want everybody at the table.
Like just a curmudgeonly old man, he kind of says, I'm busy. This is time sensitive. Just ask me what you want.
The Lord has signed off on our plan for this mission, and he has indicated that you could possess the means to deliver us safely to our destination.
Sure, I can teleport you anywhere in the city. He stops for a second, and then you see his hand kind of sweep across the table, and it looks like everything that was like moving, the fluids and everything, just kind of stop. And he kind of looks back at you. Just tell me when you need to go. I, of course, need to maintain a specific eye on the matters here, and if I'm gone too far from it, I may forget where I left off. So just please, only interrupt me when you are ready to go. And he sweeps his hand again and goes back to his...
Can I take a moment to sort of generally assess this spellcaster and try to get a feel for how powerful he is, like I did with the Magear?
Sure. You can make an Arcana check.
Shit!
He's way more powerful than you. You can gauge that. You head back into the main chamber. Phi and Oris and the others are waiting there for you.
Murphy. Would Davos rather hold on to the Butcher's Bride?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. I give it to Davos, and we sit down at the table and basically break down the plan for everybody. We're going to be heading to the Ruby Palace under the pretense of delivering this item for secure storage, and that's basically going to be our foot in the door. We know where the area inside the building where they're most likely holding the items we're after. I'm going to bring along a couple empty bags in case Oris and the Dragonborn feel like just snatching anything that's not nailed down because it could be potentially magical and valuable. And other than that, it's just going to be pretty much a simple, breaking and entering. Any questions?
Any questions? Any advice? Any thoughts?
I got none.
Now, the only question I have is how close can we get to our objective target? What kind of magical barriers there might be?
I will have... Oh shit, I don't have third level spells, so I don't have to spell magic.
I wouldn't. I'd say not too close anyway. One, we want to give Archer Woman a place to scout from, and
Okay,
the further I am, when I release the Robin, the
Yeah, they sidetracked your whole Robin gig. You actually came back downstairs and are still feeding the Robin. You just brought it.
Well, then get teleported to the white wall, the initial wall. We'll deal with the guards, and then we can still use Oris's pet bird or Phi's, whoever really got it going.
that sounds good to me. And if there is any guards nearby when we teleport in, which is a chance, Oris is quite happy to throw them off the wall.
I would like to ask William the Wise if he has any spells of dispel magic. Any scrolls.
Huh? No. And he's very focused on his activities.
Okay, it was worth a shot. Could have come in handy. Other than that, I think we've got everything we need to get going. Once we get there, if we want to take a moment and maybe let Oris do his whole bird thing, we can. But unless anybody else has anything else they'd like to do, I think we're ready to go. We've got the disguises and everything all ready to go. We've got our plan in place.
Davos has 1 hit point.
I thought he would have.
You haven't completed the long rest. It's just the planning portion. I'm asking you if you guys want to move to the sleeping portion. or the resting.
Okay,
portion.
yeah.
Go
Yeah,
ahead,
let's
Stephanie.
finish on the long rest.
Well, before I did that, I wanted to find like I don't know if I could, but something like dagger or knife that I could have on me.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah, absolutely. Daggers, knives, swords, all sorts of things are present here. If there's a weapon in the player's handbook that you're looking for, it's readily available here.
okay, I wanted to get one of those
Okay.
guys there. I don't know if I need to roll for that.
No. Let's see. I believe you should be able to drag and drop it onto your character sheet too, if you want to do that, if you use the compendium. All right. And then Oris, I'm sorry, Lewis, you were going to say something too?
It was
Here, let me show you. So if you go to...
Oris would collect the healing.
Okay, for all four of them. And then Stephanie, if you go to your character sheet, bring it up, and then on the right side next to your journal, there should be like the letter I inside of like a gray black circle. Do you see it? Top right. Not on the character sheet. Up on the... Yeah. If you click that open... and then,
Or
what's that?
I have bio and info, character sheet, and attributes and abilities.
Oh, no. So, on your... Not there. If you look to the right, over the chat...
Oh, okay.
There's the letter I inside of like a grayish circle. If you click that open, it'll say D&D 5th edition. And if you type the word dagger, it'll bring up a list of different daggers. Not proficiencies, you're looking for item, and it should be the first one. And then if you grab a hold of it and then just pull it into your character sheet, it'll say accepting drop from compendium, and then let it go. It'll put a dagger on your sheet. It should
Try
do.
that. Oh. So.
It's okay. Just want to make sure you're able to do it so that we can...
Drag it? I don't know. Do I just put it over my name? Like...
Yeah, if you grab a hold of it and then move it over your character sheet, it should then create this text that pops up that says accepting drop from compendium, and then you let it go and it'll just drop it into your sheet.
Okay, so when my sheet's on like a pop out, so like I don't.
Oh, okay. I've got it already unpopped out, so I'll pop it in there.
Okay,
So,
sorry. Like whenever
okay.
I would try to drag it, my pop up would like
Oh, you did it
go
though,
behind.
because I did it once and you did it once as well. So you now have 2 entries for dagger. So you managed to pull it off. However you did it, that's fine. But don't worry about it. But you have it on there.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. All right. Everyone else. You were saying, Lewis, I apologize. You're just going to grab the potions. That's it, right?
Grab the potions, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, and you're going to hold on to them or dispense them?
Obviously gonna hold on to him. Always have a feeling he might be in the thick of things and getting the living hell kicked out of him when
Makes
it comes to fighting.
That should be the goal, yes. All right, and then you go to William the Wise and ask him... Where'd Chad go?
Did we finish the long rest?
Yeah, you will finish the long rest by this point, yeah. So you should regain all of your hit points. If you spent any hit dice, you regain half of your total number of hit dice. So I think only a couple of you spent hit dice. And then you regain all long rest features. So any spells you cast are replenished. Everything is reset.
While we wait on Chad to get back, is that south part of the white wall on the place we're going, is that broken down, correct?
Correct.
What's the security like on that?
Minimal. Basically, it's more of a historical site than anything. The reason why the inner wall was built by the conglomerate was because it was seen as a basically a defensive breach, but it was left there because it's symbolic of past failures. All right, so let's just go ahead and say that Davos, you're the one who interacts with William, and you ask him to teleport you. What was the goal designation? And he says to you, he can teleport you anywhere in the city, including within their in the palaces.
Do we just go for as close as the vault then?
He says he could teleport you into the vaults of the palaces.
Oh, do we just do
Whew.
that and fight our way out instead? Instead of trying to sneak in, fight our way out? Because there's a lot of us.
Well, there's a lot of them in the palace. What's it take to get in? Oh, man.
Changes everything.
If they didn't know we were in the vault, though, we're in costume. We could sneak out and play it off. Hopefully, if no one recognizes us.
Yeah, but if you walk out of the front door and there's a guard there, he's gonna be like, "What the hell are you doing?" Like, oh, it's just, I don't know. What's
Yeah, I think it would be easier to be teleported outside. I wouldn't be surprised if there were like wards and stuff in place to prevent people from teleporting into the building.
He just said he could teleport us into the vault.
Oh,
I trust a confident wizard.
I've already got the Butcher's Bride on me, and that kind of defeats the whole purpose of just teleporting it straight in there.
So teleport outside, mosey your way through, so you have an excuse as to why you're coming out.
yeah.
And work your way back out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Try to be low vis as possible. So as close as we can get without drawing attention to it. So if we can teleport into a barn or like a stable or something close to it,
And
that's not going to have any attention drawn to us.
the other.
Plus, that'll give your it'll like we won't be able to set up this sort of Overwatch position you were talking about if we teleport into the vault.
Right. So the other rub he states is that there's only going to be a total of 8 people that can be transported. So it'll be you 4, plus 4 NPCs. And so decision time. You have 4: Borgu, Iji, Kolgar, and Celia. And so you won't be able to try and muster up any other individuals or try and get anybody else to come along. It's a perfect number. It's like it was fated to be. And then you're teleporting inside of the palace complex, correct? Not in the palace, but basically there, or are you teleporting inside of the White Wall like you had mentioned?
I say we do White Wall and then walk from there.
Okay. He pulls out a map. It looks like a map of the city, very similar to the one that's drawn out before you. Starts moving his finger, touches it, and sort of starts pointing at it, and kind of like, like holds his position on it, thinking about it. Looks back at his work that he's still working on even after 8 hours of rest for you guys, and says, "Okay." And this is going to be a time frame like later in the day, close to evening time, by the way, after the rest. And then he moves over to you guys and says, "Hold my hands and hold each other's hands so we form a ring, quickly." If you do so, he casts a spell. Purple lights and energy emanate around you. You watch him be the only thing that you can really focus on, and then he vanishes from your sight and you appear out underneath the Osirian sky. Up above, it's kind of dark. You can see, or it's darkening. You can see the like sun setting off in the distance. Behind you is one of the deep rivers that encircle the center portion of the city, and directly in front of you appears to be a large road that leads up to the palace gates.
Or we will probably sit down and begin ritual casting Beast Bond if the Robin has come with us.
Robin's a 9th person, so the Robin's left behind with William.
Always looks around for the Robin, shakes his head, and just go.
Scene cuts, and William doesn't even notice that the Robin was left behind, walks over to his stuff and starts messing around with it, and then this bird flies up and like flutters and tries to perch on one of the decanters that's holding a liquid and causes it to fall over, spilling, and he starts yelling and just casting like just fire bolts at the bird, who narrowly escapes out of the study. But that doesn't matter to you guys. You don't see that happen. It's more for just ha ha ha.
Bird will now be major enemy of the campaign.
It's actually the villain, the BBG.
Yeah, it's a polymorphed ancient dragon.
Of course. Anyways, back to the matter at hand. Directly in front of you is the outer castle wall that leads up to the palace gates. It doesn't look like there are any guards posted, but it does seem like there are a lot of people moving about here. Celia and Kolgar kind of look to Davos and say, this wall, that wall, the one in front, or the palace wall. Where do you want us?
Palace wall.
Of course. And they hop down and start making their way up to the gates, just casually. You can see that she is wearing a heavy cloak, and you're pretty sure that she's got close to the chest that large sniper rifle, or crossbow that she brought out.
So what, they're basically taking up the position of like gate guards?
They're walking through the gate
Overwatch.
and moving towards the palace walls so that they can make an overwatch position. You're pretty sure that they're going to be
Alright.
good on their own. After a fashion, you hear a noise come from your belt, Davos. You pick up the communicator, and Kolgar says, "Hey, boss, I'm just making sure these work. Is it working?"
See?
All right. Clicks it off, puts it back on his belt. You guys head through the
That's
gates.
Elvish for yes.
Absolutely. You guys head through the gate.
I take a moment to. How long does the illusion spell work for paper?
What spell are you casting? Illusory script?
Yep.
I believe it's an hour, but hold on. Illusory script is a 10-day duration. It takes a minute to cast.
All right, I'm gonna.
You
Yeah.
have proficiency with a forgery kit. You could have forged a convincing document.
If you cast Illusory script and you're making a convincing document, I will give you advantage and a plus 10 bonus to it, since you are basically able to forge the text out of your mind.
I would do that.
Yeah. So it's gonna more or less just gonna say that we specifically need to place this in the vault,
Okay.
straight from
Make a
the highest power, whatever.
make an intelligence forgery kit. So click on forgery kit and then use the intelligence option.
Did you say the forgery kit would be stronger than the spell?
No, you're using the spell, but basically because you're using the spell to forge a document, I'm basically granting you bonuses for that. So just make a forgery kit check. All right, so you got a 23 plus 10, so 33. The document looks exactly as you imagined it, and exactly as Kelder. Like you look at the document, and you're like, yeah, that's legit. That's a conglomerate seal, everything down to the fine print. It's perfect.
One dispel magic and we're screwed though.
Correct.
Even with Dispel Magic, it'd still be at 23, which is pretty good.
Okay. You see up ahead as you're making your way to the palace that there are a total of 5 agents that are placed outside, one of them being an enforcer. Kelder, as you look at the enforcer, you see that it's kind of a spindly looking individual, elvish, and you can see that wrapped around his neck are 2 things: the sigil of the conglomerate, which is typical for an enforcer, and a gem of true seeing.
Shit.
As you approach, he halts you and says, "Excuse me, I apologize. Can I help you with anything? We're closing down and everyone's leaving," which is something I forgot to mention because we were doing the lead up. A lot of the people appear to be leaving out of the palace complex, probably going back home for the night. We're closing down. Not many people are allowed back in. Do you have business?
We need to go to the vaults.
Are you the one who's in charge of this, retinue? Agents?
Chad, that's on you.
Oh no, you're the talker, man. You're the face.
This is very interesting. And he walks over to Oris and says, "Well then, what documentation do you have? What's your rite of passage?"
Oris turns to Davos and is just like, show the man. You slowly step around the man to the side, just so he's slightly in a good position to
Davos, do you
maybe...
hand him the notice?
I hand him the notice.
He takes it and he looks at it. Ah, interesting. Hands it back to you. Let me see the item.
Oh yeah, I'm carrying the item, so I pull out just enough for him to see
Okay.
what he needs.
I'm going to need to inspect it. I apologize if it's being administered to the vault. The document doesn't say anything about it not being investigated. And as he
It
says
is
that,
cursed.
he puts over the gem over his eye and starts looking at you, Davos, and then kind of looking towards what you're holding. Oh, it's what you say.
It's cursed with sentience.
Ah, interesting. Looks at it again. Seems appropriate. It's a very old item. Ah, the conglomerate has done well by this. Agents, quickly make your moves. Take it to the vault. Take it to the Ruby Palace vault, 3rd floor, room 3.
Good day, gentlemen.
Yes.
Good
And
day.
they all kind of nod. One of the guards kind of stops and says, "Do you need any assistance getting there? Haven't seen you around. Don't know if you know where you're going."
I think that'd be helpful.
No. Kelder shakes his head and he says, no, I know my way around.
Oh, Lord Kelder. I apologize. He steps back away.
Lord Kelder, cool.
So you know that you're pretty higher in the ranks of agents. You're not an enforcer as of yet, but you definitely are pretty close. And they typically refer to honorifics of elves as lords. Anyways, you make your way after telling them that you need no assistance to the Ruby Palace. A massive white marble building, making your way to the very large kind of ruddy iron doors. The iron in question is known as red iron and is locally mined. It looks like it's rusty, but it's not. You open up the doors, making your way into the main thoroughfare, and you can see that there are 2 passageways. There's an entryway or 3 total passageways. There's the entry into the larger throne room. There's the passage to the west wing. There's the passage to the east wing.
And you said 3rd floor, room 3?
Correct. And looking at the placards, it shows that rooms 1 through 12 are on the west side, and rooms 13 through 26 are on the east side.
Out of character, do we have a location on the item or no?
No.
2 go one way, 2 go the other way.
Well, the problem with that is that I mean, does anybody else have the ability to cast Detect Magic?
Let me check.
My plan was just to touch stuff until I found something interesting.
Oh man, my immediate reply was, "Sounds like your sex life." Hey, but that's a terrible joke. It's a 1st level spell, Stephanie, if you would have it.
Do?
Okay, so then yeah, Kelder seems to be the only one that can cast Detect Magic.
I say we progress to room 3, and if we do not find what we're looking for, we can go from there.
Agreed.
All right. As you make your way up the steps, it's very echoey in the stairwell. A lot of noise that you're basically progressing is pushing out, but the thing that you're noticing most is that there's no other sounds. It almost feels like you're the only parties present in the palaces at all.
That'd make our life a lot easier.
Should be easy enough to listen, for anybody else that's going to be approaching.
To be sure. And so you make your way up and to room 3, and once you arrive there, you see that the door is closed, but openable. Upon opening it, you see that there are a total of 3 displays, basically glass cases with like wood surrounds. If you've ever played Oblivion, just think of those glass cases is what I'm basically talking about. 1 towards the center and 2 to the off sides. Inside of the ones on the left and the right are books. It would appear that the titles of them are kind of elucidated in script on like small little placards on the front of those cases. And then on the far wall, there is a series of 3 different articles inside. A dagger that appears to be made out of blue gemstone. A dagger that appears to be made out of bronze or brass, not sure, with old ancient writings, a dialect, or not a dialect, a language that you're not familiar with, and an empty space.
I'm going to I'm going to cast Detect Magic as a ritual.
Sure. Everything glows, except the cases.
That was good. Okay, so the cases are non-magical.
Right. The books and the items within are.
Okay. Is there any sort of magical aura in that blank space?
No. But when you walk over to it, you see that there are small placards for those items as well. It looks like there was an item placed here, and according to the text, it states the item was called the Butcher's Bride.
Okay. What do the other placards on like the books and the other daggers and the other items present say?
The bronze dagger is entitled the Wraith's Blade, and it doesn't really have any like history or anything. It's just the name of the item. The glass or the jeweled dagger, the one that looks like it's just like a single blue shard of like gemstone, is entitled the Sword. And then the books, if you go over and check them out, there's a total of 6 books. Bear with me here while I get you the names of them. Ars Fabrica is the name of one of them. The Covenant of the Ascended. The Writ of Anio Nomen. Fire and Star, Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 6. Is that a total of 6 so far, right? And then the other 6 on the other side. Hitori, Hitori. The Legend of Kaizak. Recollection. Rite of Blood. Senator Balcard. ...
And these books appear to be non-magical.
They appear to be magical.
Ooh. Okay, do I see any magic that would indicate there are like alarms or anything like that?
Make an Arcana check.
Say we should maybe. The sword was something we were looking for, correct?
The sword is one of the items you're looking for. And then you're looking for the crown
it's-
of the Citrine King.
Can Oris go and grab the sword?
You open up the case, and you reach in and grab the sword.
Oh, come on, man. You could have at least waited for me to finish what I was doing.
As you
Or at least
touch hold of it, and it kind of, you see it, you see kind of like a gleaming light kind of pulse in it as you touch it, and the light seems to be kind of pointing, like indicating a direction, and it seems to be highlighting towards 5.
Oris will spin, clutching the blade, and pass it to Fi. I think it wants you.
oh great.
Do you accept the weapon? Okay. The second you hold it, it feels perfectly balanced within your hand. It just kind of feels nice. Other than that, the light kind of pulses. And how do you feel about the bright light, kind of the blue light kind of glowing from it? Are you annoyed by it, or do you like it?
It's comforting.
Okay. Yep. As you kind of like, are standing about, you do as you guys please. But yeah, the weapon seems to be kind of just very, I don't know, it just feels nice. It's, other than that, it just feels good.
Like to kind of conceal it though, so it's not so obvious that I'm. If that's
No, the second you don't want it to be lit anymore and you start thinking about trying to hide it, it just goes dark. It's now just a blue crystal blade.
okay. Cool.
So apparently there's no alarms on any of these items.
So far, so good. Yeah. The hilt of the weapon is gold, and it has a number of different gemstones ornately pulsed throughout it. The pommel of the dagger is a smaller bit of the blue gemstone, and that's what it looks like.
Would it be possible to take one of those daggers that I took? Can we like cast some kind of illusionary thing on it? In the case, to kind of
make it look like a regular dagger, and then or make the dagger that you're putting in there look like the sword. Does anybody have
that way?
Minor illusion or some form of illusion spell that would do that? It's a really good idea. I just don't know if you have the spells to do it. Yeah, you're a bit more of a life and death caster.
It's not really going to matter because considering none of this stuff has alarms on it, I'm going to start packing all of it up.
Okay. You grab all 12 of the books, each the 6 from each case, and then the 2 daggers. Okay. When you pick up the Wraith's blade, it just falls through your hand. Like, you pick it up for a second, and then it just becomes intangible, and it lands back in the case.
I'll take a stab at it.
Ha ha ha.
I see what you did there.
You pick up the Wraith's blade, and it does the same.
Awesome,
You're only
yeah.
able to tangibly hold it for a moment, and then it falls through your hand and hits the back on the case.
Do I have any sense of sentience that this blade is anything similar to the other artifacts?
You don't think so, but based on the
Can the
fact that
case
it
be
was...
moved?
The case can be moved. No, it's pretty much bolted to the floor.
Also, just is Oris wearing like he'll just take a bit of his clothing from his pack and then just tie it around the thing.
As you try
Assuming
to,
it's touched, it's making it.
it moves through the cloak and hits back into the case.
Let's leave it. Let's start checking these other rooms.
It's not exactly a priority. But yeah, we'll go ahead and start making our way around and searching other rooms. We got to move quickly because detect magic only lasts 10 minutes, I think.
Sure. Yeah, that's accurate. Are you going to make an Arcana check on the Wraith's blade, or are you just ignoring it? Just done with it?
I'll go ahead and take a stab at it.
Okay.
Okay.
Again, ha 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 ha. You're not sure
No,
why
but
it's doing
I'm
what it's doing. The magic is
Rolling
very
really fucking badly tonight.
the magic is very strange, to be sure. Okay, you gather up the things in this room and exit out. Correct?
Mhm.
Okay, so there are a total of a few more rooms present here. The others that are with you, so AEG would have came along with you, and the Dragonborn would have gone with the Overwatch team. As they are kind of, as AEG is kind of looking around, he's holding one of the bags that he was given. I'm assuming you're going to give him the bag filled with the books and such. Okay, so yeah, so he's basically got the Santa Claus bag over his shoulder, yeah. Very conspicuous.
Can I get a status report from the Overwatch team?
Do you call them and ask for it?
I do.
Okay. And you hear Colgar, yeah, what's up, boss?
See anything, any activity, anything we should be aware of?
Yeah, we're in position just north of the palace complex. So far, so good. Doesn't look like anybody's moving or maneuvering towards your location. A couple of people have entered into the palace, but have you heard from them yet? Have you heard? Just beyond, if you were alone, there are some people in there, but they didn't look like they were. They looked like they were historians, librarians, maybe.
Don't know where the crown is. More than
Well-
likely.
Dialogue with Oris. We'll just try to maintain no contact if possible with those individuals. To the Overwatch crew, just keep us updated if you see anything, any activity.
Yeah, if we see any agents or anything moving in your direction, we'll let you know. Salea's like, yeah, that's the fucking plan, and then it clicks off.
Well, hey, they could have been ambushed or something.
You're like sitting there looking at the phone like, fuck you, dude. But you're like, she's thinking the same thing. You guys are both basically just at edge, but on different sides of the phone. Okay. As you guys are kind of mustering about and getting out of room 3, you do hear some sound echoing out of the stairwell. It sounds like someone is coming up the steps. Not up your steps, just up the steps from the first floor to possibly the second or third.
Let's move together as a group to the next room.
Which one
Yep.
do we go for 4? Do we go back for 2 or 1?
I'd say whichever direction is more upwards and onwards.
Another thing I want to make sure you are reminded of: one side that you're looking towards, the wall that you're looking towards, that's where all the doors are. Directly behind you is a railing, and you can look down and out onto the throne room.
Okay, so while they head to the next room, I'm going to kind of. Well, if we look over the railing, can we see like the other stairwells?
On the other side, for the other wing, yes. If you kind of bend
Okay.
over and like look down, maybe, but it probably won't be too good.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just gonna like kind of glance over that way, see if I can see the other people who are walking up the stairs, and hopefully they're on the other side.
Of course. Okay. No, they're in your stairwell. If you had to make a guess.
Okay, then I think we should keep moving and try to stay ahead of them.
Okay.
So moving on to room 4, I guess.
Okay. You move over to it and open up the door. When you get inside, you see that it's filled with bookshelves, hundreds and hundreds of books. Most of them appear to be written in Old Osirian text on the title. The spine. My brain didn't know what I was talking about for a second.
Next room, just mission focused right now.
Okay.
I think someone should at least run back to the first 2 rooms and just glance in, just see if there's anything in there. Because there's a potential we might continue on and miss something important that's in the first or second room.
Okay. So are we splitting into like search party effectively? So AG and Phi, you guys move towards a room. Pick a number between 1 and 12. That isn't one that's already been opted. Oris and you go by yourself, I guess. You're big enough. And then Davos and
well,
Calder, you two go together into a different room. Does that sound good?
Well,
Yep.
well, my original plan was just going to be like, was just going to run, open the door, look in the first room,
Okay.
anything interesting, run, look in the second
Well,
room,
real quick.
anything interesting, run.
Sorry, that room full of bookshelves. Is
Yeah.
that just mundane books?
It looks like a lot of histories. Yep.
Okay.
All right. As you guys are basically moving from rooms or moving towards rooms to start looking at them, Phi, I need you to make me a wisdom perception check.
Right, kind of cut out. Which check?
Perception. Perception. Not terribly great. Okay. No problem. You and EG kind of move towards one of the rooms. Pick a number between 1 and 12 that isn't 3 or 4. What number do you pick, Stephanie?
We do 5.
Okay. Moving to the very next room. Oris, you said you were wanting to backtrack and go to room 1. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then Davos and Kelder, are you going to room 2 or are you going to room 6?
2.
Okay.
2. Basically, instead of the party moving further away from each other, we want to kind of stay close.
Understandable. Okay. So Stephanie, as you and EG enter into room, my brain just did it 4. You enter in and you see that this is room 5 rather. You see it's a bunch of more books, but it looks like there might be shelves on the far end of this room that might be holding things.
Okay, I'd maybe go over there and check it out.
All right. Lined across a single shelf that runs across the length of the back wall away from the door are a number of different coins. It looks like 3 of them are made out of this strange prismatic metal. As you kind of move and the light kind of dances across it, you notice that it's kind of like oil on water. It kind of sheens the prismatic field. The other coins appear to be very old Osirian coins. One of them appears to have kind of like a very strange look to it. It looks like it's like embossed, so it's like 3-dimensional, and it appears to have like a small hole in it that doesn't go all the way through, but goes into a layer that's inside of the coin. So it's silver on the outside, and that small little window that you can see is gold. Total of 9 coins.
I really don't have any interest in any of those. The last one, but I don't really see any reason to take it, so might just pass that over.
Okay. EG kind of looks to you and says, "That's fine." He's holding a bag though, filled with books that have been stolen. This is apparently
I
turn.
mean, I just picked one on the end then. I just didn't.
Okay, you take the silver coin with the gold window. Okay, put that into your pocket. All right, just put strange coin on your character sheet when you get a chance. And then Oris, you walk into room 1. Inside, there is a very large-looking golden sarcophagus that's been set up in here. It appears to be some Osirian king. Upon looking at it, you see old Osirian words written upon it, and you can kind of make out some of the lettering is the same as traditional lettering. Basically, it's the same as going from Greek to English, effectively. And it appears that this individual's name is Ryaman the 145th.
You know that coffin's getting opened.
Go ahead and make a strength
See if he
athletics
got
check.
buried with
You are not able to muster it, but you do make a lot of sound and noise. Go ahead and make a perception check. You hear the footfall inside of the stairwell stop.
What else is in this room? Or is it literally just this coffin?
Just a big ass coffin in the center of the room, yeah.
Does it look like it can push
Hide
it
the
over?
coffin.
Does it look like you can push it? Push it
I
what?
can't open it, can I?
You can't push it open. No, you haven't been able to. You just made a lot of sound trying to, and there's like minor screeching sound of basically metal on metal as you're trying to shift it open.
Or is it gonna go stand by the door on the opposite side, so if someone opens the door, he can basically chuck his warhammer into the back of their head,
Room 2.
and he's gonna wait a second.
Davos and Kelder, both of you make perception checks.
Would I have advantage because of detect magic?
That's not magical. Okay. Both of you hear a sound come from room 1 where Oris went into as you are entering into your room. Kelder, you recognize that the footfall that was coming up the steps has stopped. As you look into this room very casually as this is happening, you would see that this room is filled with, let me check my notes, a bunch of adornments on the wall, crossed swords over shields, and basically just a lot of armaments plastered onto the wall. Your detect magic scan reveals that none of this is magical. But it all looks very old.
Yeah. I mean, Kelder gives it a once over, and he looks at Davos and shakes his head, and he says, "There's nothing magical in here."
Okay. As you two step out from the room, and Fi also steps out from her room, and Oris is hiding in his room, Fi, just out of happen chance, you notice, like you're looking down and kind of just paying attention to them, and then you kind of look down again. You see the throne very visibly in the throne room, and you notice that sitting on the throne is a glass case, and set inside the glass case is a crown.
That might be what we're looking for.
So it's about 30 feet down in the center of the throne room.
I kind of want to point that out to the others. Maybe that's what we should do next.
Do you say it aloud, or do you walk over and then tell them?
I'll kind of say it before I walk over there. Just I think that looks.
Okay. You hear her voice kind of echo in the throne room and echo across the chamber as you guys are trying to remain quiet, and she kind of walks over as you do. Kelder and Davos, what do you two do? And Oris, you hear Fi kind of say, "Hey, there's the crown," and as she starts walking towards them.
Oris will come out the room just shaking his head, and then try and play off the fact that he's not just made a bunch of noise.
You then hear sudden sounds of footfall, and it sounds like it's moving away from you.
Kelder's just gonna start heading down the stairs.
Quickly in haste, or just moving down the stairs normal?
Like quickly, but trying to look casual about it.
Okay.
Like somebody who's just has that kind of footwork. They can just move down the stairs quickly.
Whoever was
Awesome.
below you obviously had a bit of a head start because they were only on the second floor. And the next thing you hear as you guys are making your way downstairs, if everyone is doing that,
Oh no, how deep is the drop?
30 feet. And you can
I'm
do,
gonna drop it very.
if you want, I'll let you make a strength athletics check. You can do a parkour thing where you drop from ledge to ledge.
I was gonna rage as well, just so it's half damage for whatever damage I take.
Sure. Go ahead and make a strength athletics check, which you have advantage on if you're mad about it. Didn't need it. You watch him basically just go, hop over the rail, and then catch on, and then just drop, and you hear him go, huh, and then drop down, huh. As you hit the ground, you see that the two individuals look over at you, like scared, and bolt out the front door, which slams behind them very quickly. You're about 70 feet away from them when that happens.
Mad dash for the crown.
Okay. All right. You hear from your belt, Davos. Take it up, and you hear Celia say, two of them just ran out. Looked like they were pretty scared. What's going on in there? You hear a loud crashing sound, I presume, as Oris breaks the glass case and grabs the crown. Is that right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Things are about to start moving pretty quickly.
Or was it
Yeah,
smashing?
Kelder makes the whole like let's wrap this up
That's fair.
gesture.
Tell us a shoot to kill.
That's fair. What are you guys going to do immediately as that happens? You guys are kind of regathered in the central chamber at basically the entrance. Is retreat now the thing that we're doing, or
Try to regroup and try to walk out, but not draw attention to ourselves.
I'm the only one
Like-
who's seen.
They saw you, they ran away, and we don't know how far they're running or where they're running to, so we might be able to
Why don't you
make some
why don't
distance.
you radio
Why
your
don't you-
guys outside and see if they can cause a distraction to sort of cover our exit?
What I was thinking is they've seen me, they've not seen you yet. Chuck me the. You
Well,
guys hide.
as you
I'll make a
basically are?
ruckus.
Let me make sure you guys are not getting too ahead of yourself with over planning. You run back over to them with the crown. So a lot of them have come down the steps and are now there, kind of a little bit out of breath, but haven't had they didn't run or anything. They were just trying to keep up with jumps down entire. Yeah, they've caught you guys have regathered, and you hear a brrr from the communication device and says it looks like they're trying to get the enforcers at the north gate to come and investigate. What are you doing in there? Hurry up and get out now.
All right. I think, Oris, you were saying that they saw you, they didn't see us. You hand us the crown, and then you kind of take off as a diversion.
Yep.
Yep, I like where this is going.
Or is it running for the doorway to cause a distraction, roaring with rage, and just like.
Okay.
And we have the
Knocking
crown
over
now.
anything he can, just making as much noise, as much damage as he runs.
Okay.
Just smashing.
You're rushing off into the palace complex. A lot of you are waiting a moment and then sneaking out and trying to exit out of the palace complex in a different fashion, right? Okay. So as that's happening, the agents that were at the north gate are assembled by the two historians that came and asked them for their assistance. I would like for Oris, if you're rushing up there, you realize that you're making pretty good distance before anyone sees you. Do you still try and make a big distraction, or you try and kind of like maybe do one of those where you're like sneaking away and trying to hide away from it? It looks like there's if you maintain the distraction objective, you'll succeed. But it looks like you guys got out quick enough before the agents mustered. You might be able to pocket away. Do you get what I'm saying?
Always could potentially escape, but
Okay.
is he sure if the others will?
Fair enough. So
If he-
for the last bit of this session, what I'll ask you to do is make a stealth check as a group. Everybody make a stealth check. And Oris, yours will be made at disadvantage. Okay. So it looks like most of you have made a DC 12. And I'll roll for EG to be the cutter. Perfect. Okay, great. So a lot of you actually do escape before the guards actually descend upon you. And after a tense kind of series of sneaking past this way and then kind of trying to act as casual as possible in this other portion, you guys all maintain a thoroughfare exit on the south side of the white wall, and your group of Kolgar and Celia make it to you, and you all regroup there. And that's where we'll end the session today. You guys have regrouped after getting through. And the main thing you're noting here is no one in the Old Guard has been so brazen to attack the palace complex. There doesn't appear to be a very strong contingent of watch or guard there, for whatever reason. There's no king to watch, so why would there be? All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week, I think. That'll work. All right.
Yep.
Sounds good. Thanks for watching.